it's Christine from Spotted Horse Design Company, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this very simple cocoon cardigan. Now, if you have never made a garment before, don't worry, because just about anybody could make this sweater. That's how simple it really is. So I just want to say some notes about the sizing. So this style of sweater is actually very forgiving. It is meant to look loose and baggy and even kind of give that off the shoulder look if you want. So having said that, this sweater comes in 3 sizes: small, medium, large, extra large, and 2X, 3X. So for today's tutorial, I will be making the large, extra large size, which is the size that my model wears, so that when I go to take finished photos of this sweater later on, it will fit her nicely. So on camera, I will actually be making her sweater today. And again, she wears the large, extra large. But don't worry, no matter what size you wear, I will make sure that I put cards up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen showing you the stitch counts for the other sizes. And I will also put them in the description of this video below so you can reference them down there as well. So no matter what size you're making today, I will not leave you in the dark. I'll make sure that you have all of the right stitch counts and measurements and all that good stuff for whatever size you would like to make. All right, so let's talk about what we need to make this sweater. So for yarn, I chose this everyday acrylic from Hobie Yarn. This is the Mega XL. This is a very big skein. I don't know if you can see how big this is, but this is a very big skein. If you decide to go with this yarn, you're only going to need 1.5 skeins of this, which is about 1,300 yards for the large, extra large size. No matter which size you're making, you will need 2 skeins of this. For the large, extra large, it was exactly 1.5 skeins, obviously a little less if you're doing the small and medium, or a little more if you're doing the 2X or 3X. And I do want to note here that this is the large skein. This is 874 yards. So a lot of yarn in these skeins. If you do not go with this yarn, then just make sure you choose any worsted weight acrylic yarn. Again, for the large, extra large size, you will need about 1,300 yards. In addition to that, you're going to need a 5mm crochet hook, scissors, a tape measure, 4 stitch markers, and a tapestry needle. All right, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about gauge. Gauge when making crochet garments is extremely important and absolutely not a step that you should skip. Now, I understand that this sweater is very forgiving size-wise, but I still would discourage you from skipping this step. This is very important. So our gauge swatch is going to be 4 inches square, 4 inches long, by 4 inches tall. So I'm just going to set this down at the base, at the front of one of the stitches, and I'm just going to measure 4 inches, and we are going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got 11 inches long. Rows of the forked cluster stitch with rows of single crochet in between, so we're going to be counting all of those. So I'm going to start at the top of one of the forked cluster rows. Sorry for my dog drinking in the background. Then we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our gauge is 11 stitches by 8 rows in a 4-inch square. So before you go any further in this pattern, I want you to go to this video tutorial up here in the corner of the screen. If you missed that link, don't worry, it is down below in the description of this video. That is the full stitch tutorial for this forked cluster stitch, the exact stitch that we are using to make this sweater. So whatever hook and yarn you are using to make this sweater, I want you to go to that video tutorial and work up a practice swatch. Again, you want to make sure that you have 11 stitches and 8 rows in a 4-inch square. So go ahead and pause this video, go to that video tutorial, work up your practice swatch, make sure your gauge is spot on, and then come back to this tutorial and we will begin this sweater. All right, welcome back to my cocoon cardigan tutorial. So hopefully you've already made your gauge swatch and your gauge is now as accurate as you can get it. So let's go ahead and start our foundation chain. So again, I'm making the large, extra large. I will be putting cards up in the right-hand corner of the screen, showing you what your starting chains should be for the other sizes. So for me, the large, extra large, I'm going to start by making a chain of 112. So go ahead and pause this video, work your starting chain, and then I'll meet you back here to start our first row. All right, now once you've made your starting chain, we're going to go ahead and start on our very first row. And we're going to be making forked cluster stitches, which are the base for this entire sweater. My dog is growling at a cat outside in the background, and I'm very sorry. All right, so we're going to work into the third chain from the hook, okay? So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that chain, and pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, and pull up a loop. And you should now have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. 3 loops remain. And now you're going to yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops, and your first forked cluster stitch is made. So now to work our next forked cluster stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the same chain where you finished your last stitch, and pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, and pull up a loop. And now you've got 5 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. Now yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops on the hook. All right, I'm going to walk you through that a couple more times. So to work our next forked cluster stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the same chain where you finished your last stitch, and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, and pull up a loop. And you now have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 3 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops on your hook. So again, yarn over, insert your hook into the same chain where you finished your last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, and pull up a loop. There are 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 3, and yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops. And now you are going to continue these steps all the way down your starting chain. So go ahead and put this video on pause, work these forked cluster stitches all the way down your starting chain, and then I will meet you back here to finish up this row and start the next row. All right, and now once you've made your entire first row of forked cluster stitches, we are actually going to make one more stitch, and you're going to just work a double crochet also in this last chain. So you're sharing this last chain with the last forked cluster stitch worked and an additional double crochet stitch. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now the chain 1 does not count as a stitch here or anywhere throughout this tutorial. And now for row 2, you are going to work 1 single crochet stitch in the first stitch and in each stitch all the way across. So go ahead and pause this video, work a single crochet stitch all the way across, and then I'll meet you back here to start row 3. All right, welcome back. So once you've come to the end of your single crochet row, just go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And now to work the rest of your sweater body, all you're going to do is you are going to repeat row 1 and row 2. So this next row is going to be another forked cluster row. It's just going to be a repeat of row 1, and then you're going to repeat row 2, row 1, row 2 over and over again until you have a nice big rectangle. I am going to zoom out here as much as I can. You're not going to be able to see the whole thing in the camera, but for the size that I'm making, again, I am making a large/extra large. So I have a total of 56 rows all the way up from the bottom. And if you are making one of the other sizes, you should see that up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, whatever your ending row count should be. So now let's talk about seaming the sides. So this is the right side of my work. You want to turn this over onto so that the wrong side is facing you. Again, the wrong side should be facing you, and yours, my table is not long enough, but your rectangle should be laying completely flat with the long side this way, and then you've got the short side here. We are going to fold the short sides just like this. You're going to fold them inward like this. And now here is where you're going to grab both your tape measure and 2 stitch markers. Now again, since I am making the large/extra large, I am going to measure 8 inches. Check the right-hand corner of the screen if you are making a different size. I'm going to start right from the very corner here, and I'm going to measure 8 inches. Now this is where you're going to grab one of your stitch markers, and at the 8-inch mark, again, whatever size you're making, you're going to mark this with a stitch marker. You want to make sure that you insert your stitch marker through both sides because we want to hold this together. So now you can see that I've secured both sides together with my stitch marker. Now I'm going to grab my other stitch marker, and I'm just going to secure these 2 ends right here. All right, now you're going to grab your tapestry needle all right, now you're going to grab a tapestry needle, and you're going to just take some yarn from your skein, and I just like to measure 3 times the amount of yarn between the space in between both of these stitch markers. So I'm just going to take this, we're going to double it and triple it. And because I always have anxiety about how much yarn I'm cutting, I'm actually going to go down even a little farther than that. And now you're just going to thread that yarn onto your tapestry needle. I'm going to get my yarn out of the way here. And now you're actually going to sew this up from the wrong side. So I usually just kind of flip it over like this. Now I usually just whip stitch this. If you have a favorite way of seaming garments, you go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to be using a regular old whip stitch. So I just insert my needle like so. And I just go front to back all the way down this seam. And then once you get to the end here, you're just going to secure it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and weave this end in. All right, and once you've got this side all seamed up, you can go ahead and remove your stitch markers. And now you are simply going to repeat these steps on the other side of this. So let me just zoom out again. So once again, you just fold in the sides like so. Still have these ends that I have not woven in yet. And once again, depending on what size you are making, you are going to measure from the end here. Make sure this is even. You do want to make sure that your rows are lining up, right? Like here, let me zoom in a little bit. You want to make sure that your rows are lining up and that they're not off center with each other like this. So for my size, my armholes are going to be 8 inches. So I'm just going to measure 8 inches from this tip here. Going to place my stitch markers. And now I'm just going to seam this area in between my stitch markers, just like I did on the other side. So go ahead and pause this video, seam up both of your sides, and I'll meet you back here and we are going to put on our border all the way around. Now, once you've seamed up both sides, it's now time to put on our border. Now, I know you can't see my entire sweater, but you want to lay it out just like this. So you can see you've got your armholes here, okay? And now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you first how we're going to do it, and then I'll walk you through it. You're going to pick one of these inside seams, and it's going to be, you are going to work with the right side of your work facing you, not from the inside out. So just make sure you've got the outside, the right side of your work facing you, and you're going to attach your yarn, and we're going to be working in a continuous round all the way around, and we're going to do 5 rows total, or 5 rounds actually, because we're going to be working in the round. We're going to be working in continuous rounds. That means we will not be joining. So if you need to use a stitch marker to mark the beginning of each round, you can. For me, it was pretty obvious when I got back to this seam, to this armhole. So I would just use this, you know, knowing when I got back to this seam as my guide. But if you want to use a stitch marker, you're more than welcome to. So for right now, like I said, I want you to grab one of your seams and make sure the right side of your work is facing you. You don't want the inside of your sweater. You're not going to be working from the inside. So please make sure the outside of your sweater, the right side is facing you. And we're going to start at a seam. So go ahead and grab your crochet hook and let's attach our yarn to this seam. So I'm just going to insert my hook right here. Tighten down on my tail a little bit. And I'm going to chain one. Oops. And I'm going to work a half double crochet in this same spot where I joined my yarn. And now I'm just going to continue to work one, whoops, that was not a half double crochet, one half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And when I say all the way around, I mean, just like I showed you before, you're going all the way around your sweater. You're going to go past this other seam and up around the bottom, which would have been your starting chain, all the way until you get back to the very first stitch that you worked at this seam over here. Okay, so go ahead and pause this video, work one half double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and then I'll meet you back here to start the next round. All right, now once you've made it all the way around, again, you should have started in the seam. So here's your armhole. You should have started right at the base of one of these seams and worked one half double crochet all the way around past the second seam and then up around the bottom. Okay, so I've just completed one round, one full round. Now from here on out, we are going to be working in continuous rounds. That means we will not be joining. So if you feel the need to mark the end of this round with a stitch marker, you can go ahead and do so. Personally, I felt like every time I would come around to this seam, that was a pretty good indication for me that I had made a full round, but you do you. If you're more comfortable using a stitch marker, you go for it. So not only are we going to be working in continuous rounds from here on out, but we are also going to be working in the third loop of these half double crochet stitches. So if you turn your work all the way so that the back side is facing you, you've got this third loop on the back side here. This is the loop we're going to be working into, and what that does is it pushes these two top loops out to the front, and then we're going to have this really nice knit look border. So I want you to begin by working one half double crochet in this third loop in each stitch all the way around, and you're going to do this for 4 rounds total, which means you're actually going to end with a total of 5 rounds for this border. So this first round we just put on counts as 1. And now you're going to add on 4 additional rows, but you are going to be working into this third loop. Again, working in continuous rounds, you are not joining. So right now I want you to go ahead and pause this video. You are going to work 4 rounds total of half double crochet stitches in the third loop. Again, you are working in continuous rounds. And then I will meet you back here and we will make the sleeves together. So to finish up this round, I actually stop about 2 stitches short of where I want to join. And this is my last half double crochet worked. I'm going to continuing to work in the back loops only. I'm just going to work 1 single crochet stitch. And now I'm going to work 1 slip stitch. Again, in the back loop only. And now here is where you can fasten off and weave in this end. Okay, now we're going to put our sleeves on. So I want you to find one of your armholes. Make sure the front or the right side of your work is facing you. And when you join your yarn, you want to make sure you're joining at the base right here where you've got your seam. You just want to make sure that you're joining it here. Just just going to tighten up on my tail there. And now I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to work a double crochet stitch in the same space where I joined my yarn. So to crochet around the armholes, you are crocheting on this raw edge here, and there really are no defined stitches where you are going to be inserting your hook like we do when we're working normal crochet rows. So I don't want you to overthink this part, okay? You're just going to insert your hook where it looks like it's going to go in, okay? All right, so I'm just going to work a few stitches here so you can see where I place my stitches on the raw edge. Again, don't overthink it. You're just going to evenly place your double crochet stitches all the way around. So I've made my first 2 double crochet stitches within this row here. So I'm going to move on to my next row. Here's a spot to insert my hook. And now I'm going to look for another spot. And this is what my first 4 stitches look like so far. They're evenly placed. You'll notice as you continue working that you're probably going to pick the same spots, and that will also keep your stitches nice and even all the way around. So I want you to go ahead and pause this video, work your double crochet stitches all the way around. Again, for me, I'm making 34 double crochet stitches. Check the right hand corner of the screen to see what your stitch count should be for your selected size. And then I'll meet you back here. We will start the next round of this sleeve together. All right, now once you've finished your first round of double crochet stitches around your armhole, you're just going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch. And chain 1. Now moving forward, no matter what size you're working, for the next 4 rounds, we are going to be decreasing by 1 stitch. So what I want you to do is yarn over, insert your hook into this very first stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, leave these 2 loops on your hook because we're going to be decreasing. And now you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, 3 loops remain on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So now you've just decreased this round by 1 stitch. So now moving forward, we are going to alternate front post double crochet stitches and back post double crochet stitches. And that is what is going to give us that nice ribbed look for our sleeves. So this next stitch here, let's work a front post double crochet stitch. So you'll yarn over, insert your hook behind the stitch, just like this, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now you'll just complete your stitch like a normal double crochet stitch. And now this next stitch, we're going to work a back post double crochet stitch. So yarn over, turn your work over so you can see the back side of it, and you're going to insert your hook like this around the stitch and pull up a loop. And now you're going to complete the stitch just like you would a normal double crochet stitch. So our next stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook again, just like this, and pull up a loop, and now complete your stitch like a normal double crochet. Our next stitch is going to be a back post double crochet stitch. So once again, inserting your hook just like this, oops, and pull up a loop, and now you're going to complete it like a normal double crochet. So we've got a front post double crochet stitch for our next stitch, and now a back post double crochet stitch. Oops, there we go. So go ahead and pause this video, continue to alternate the front post and back post double crochets all the way around your armhole, and then I will meet you back here to start the next round. All right, now once you've come to the end of that second round of front and back post double crochets, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch of that round and chain 1. And now working under both loops, just for these first 2 stitches, we're going to decrease again. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch. Again, just like we normally would, we're not working a front post stitch right now. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, leave these 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And now you'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And now you've made a decreasing double crochet stitch. So since we technically decreased over this front post double crochet stitch here, that brings us to our next stitch, which is actually a back post double crochet stitch. So our first normal stitch of this round is going to be a back post double crochet stitch. So go ahead and work your back post double crochet. And now from here on out, you're just going to continue to alternate front post and back post stitches all the way around. Now it'll be a lot more obvious this time since the front post, the ones where we're working front post stitches are popped out here, and then the ones that are recessed in the back here, those are the ones we're going to make our back post double crochet stitches around. So a lot easier to see and also a lot easier to work around this round. So go ahead and pause this video. You're going to alternate again, front and back post double crochets, and then I will meet you back here to start the next round. All right, now once you've made it to the end of that round, just go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch of that round and chain 1. And now we are going to once again decrease over the first 2 stitches here. So again, working under both loops, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now working into the next stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into this next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 3 loops. Now after working this decrease, that's going to bring you to this front post double crochet. So now we're just going to continue alternating front post and back post double crochets all the way around until we get to the end of this round. So go ahead and pause this video, finish up this round, and then I'll meet you back here to start the next round. Now once you've come to the end of that round, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of that round and chain 1. And now this is going to be our last decreasing round, and then from here on out we're just going to be working in joined rounds, alternating front and back post double crochets. So once again, to decrease, we're going to be working into the loops of these first 2 stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is going to bring us our very first stitch after this decreased double crochet is going to be a back post double crochet stitch. So I'm going to pick up at this stitch and continue alternating front and back post double crochet stitches all the way around. So go ahead and pause this video, finish up this round, and then I will meet you back here to start the next round. Now once you've come to the end of that round, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch worked for that round and chain 1. And now we are no longer decreasing. We have the amount of stitches that we want for our armholes. So for my size, which is a large extra large, I have 30 stitches all the way around. Check the right hand corner of the screen for the amount of stitches you should have for your selected size. So to continue our alternating front and back post double crochets, we are going to work a front post double crochet around both of these stitches here. These are the first 2 double crochets that we worked on this previous row, and we decreased, so now they are 1 stitch. So we're going to treat them as 1 stitch, and we're going to work a front post double crochet around both of these. And now from here on out, it is just going to be alternating front and back post double crochets, just as you have been doing. Now, if you don't want your sleeves to have the thumb holes, you can just go ahead and continue to repeat this round over and over and over again until your sleeve is the length that you want it to be. And you'll just repeat these steps on the same side, of course, for your other sleeve. Now, if you are wanting to add thumb holes, the way that we're going to do that is kind of going to be different for everybody since everyone's arm lengths are different. And I really feel like it would be impossible for me to tell you exactly how far to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue making rounds of front and back post stitches, and you're going to try on your sweater until the sleeve reaches just about like your knuckle here. When your sleeve reaches your knuckle here, that is where you're going to stop. If you are wanting to put on the thumb holes, again, this is where you're going to want to stop, and we're going to continue the next round of front and back post double crochet stitches, and we're going to actually add the thumb hole over the last 2 stitches of this round. So here you can see that this is where my round starts, and where it sits on my thumb, we're going to just continue as usual, but then create the thumb hole for the last 2 stitches of this round. All right, so if you haven't already, go ahead and join your last round with a slip stitch and then chain 1. And we're just going to, like I said before, you're just going to continue as you have been. So go ahead and pause this video. Work this round until you get to the last 2 stitches of this round. Do not work the last 2 stitches of this round. And then I'll meet you back here. We will create the thumb hole together and start the next round. Now, once you've worked all the way around and you have just 2 stitches left, we're going to leave these unworked. You're going to chain 2. And now we're just going to skip ahead to the very first stitch worked on this round, and you're going to join with a slip stitch. Chain 1. And now you're going to work this round just as you have, again, alternating your front and back post double crochets. When you come to this chain 2 space, you're going to work 2 double crochets right into this space. So now I've completed this round and I've made 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. So now I'm simply going to join with a slip stitch and chain 1. So go ahead and pause this video and work the rest of this round. Again, you're going to, once you get to this chain 2 space, you're going to work 2 double crochets into that space. And then I'll meet you back here to start the next round. All right, welcome back. So we are almost finished with this first sleeve. We just have a few more rounds to put on and then we will be done. So we are going to begin, if you have not already, you're going to join with a slip stitch and then chain 1. And we are going to carry on just as we have been with alternating front and back post double crochet stitches. And once you make it all the way around and get to these 2 double crochets here, you're just going to continue alternating. So I just made a back post double crochet stitch. So my next stitch will be a front post double crochet stitch around the first of these 2 double crochets. And then the second would be a back post double crochet stitch. And then now I'm just going to finish the round by joining with a slip stitch and chaining 1. So I'm pretty much just going to leave you on your own now to finish up your sleeves. Again, you're just going to keep working your rounds of alternating front and post double crochets until your sleeve length is whatever you want it to be. And of course, everything that we did on this side here, you are going to repeat for your second armhole. Thank you so much for crocheting this sweater with me, and I hope that you see that making garments is not hard or scary. Be sure to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about your finished sweater. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!